Thank you for coming. I didn't really know what to expect for the faculty panel, but this conference as a whole has been a delightful surprise that we've had such positive turnout, and I think we should all take that as an encouraging sign that there's a great deal of interest in study abroad at both the student and the faculty level. I'm not an expert in this area, but I was sort of assigned to talk about assessment because it's such a sexy topic, I think. So I'll do my best. All right. Why assess? I think this is fairly simple. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But as anyone who's a faculty here knows, that assessment is certainly a part of continuous course development and improvement. So if for no other reason, you should assess your study abroad program just as you assess any other thing that you teach. Assessment also generates data that you can use to justify your study abroad program. Now, you may not think that you have to justify your program, but I think in today's climate, at both the university and the state and the national level, you better be prepared to demonstrate that your program is worth the time and the resources that are being put into it. For example, in my College of Education, we have to do these assessments at our undergraduate, master's, and PhD level to generate data. And I was on one of those panels. And finally, I just said, who's our audience for this assessment? Is it the instructors? They said no. Is it the students? They said no. I said, who is it for? It's for the people who invest money in this university or who could invest money. So I think in the political climate right now, you have to be prepared to demonstrate that you're doing something worthwhile. Assessment is an important part, especially if you think about the difference between formative and summative assessment. Formative is that assessment that's part of the ongoing instruction. Summative is sort of the stuff at the end where you see if you've achieved your goals. But formative assessment is an important part of student growth, and if you can integrate that into your study abroad program, I think you're all the better for that. There's also an issue of being efficient. You don't want to think of assessment as something that you have to tack on and it's one extra thing that you have to do. If you can sort of make it part of your program, that's good. And finally, assessment generates data. And data is important if you are a faculty person who wants to do research. I'm not sure how many of you are doing research on your study abroad programs, but certainly if you're a faculty at MSU, you are expected to do research. And you certainly don't want in your mind to think, well, this summer should I do study abroad program as a leader or should I do my research? If it's sort of that trade-off, you're going to be in a really difficult position. So, always be looking for opportunities to combine those two things together. I'll give some examples of this, so it's just not general talking off the top of my head. All right, the challenges are pretty simple. There's not a lot of time. It takes it takes time to do assessment. It takes time to develop instruments, and you may not see that there's a need. But again, you need to demonstrate that your program's worthwhile, even for the students. Even though for the students it may feel like the most powerful and life-changing experience they've ever had, there is research that shows that employers, the people who the students will be working for later, are a little bit skeptical as to whether the study abroad has any sort of benefit to them as an employer. So to the degree that you can generate data that shows the worth and the value of your study abroad, that's also going to benefit your students. And some people also feel that study abroad outcomes, those life-changing things, as important as they are, they sort of are beyond conventional assessment, so why assess it at all, Okay, let me just give you an example. I teach a program called the Learning Culture and Technology Program in the Netherlands. It's primarily for teacher education students, and one of the goals there, in addition to visiting a lot of different kinds of schools, one of the goals is to develop the students' global competency. And global competency means to me that you're developing their ability to see other people's culture. You're developing their ability to appreciate their own culture. So let me just give you an example of the kinds of assessment. I am no means doing this to be an exemplar. I don't think I'm an exemplar of anything positive. But anyways. So one of the things I do is I administer a pre and post survey on global competency. And as it turns out, this is not hard to do because these surveys exist. It's a 44-item survey. And in the Office of Study Abroad, there's somebody there who can help me understand and know how to administer this. Her name is Elizabeth Wong. I have her name at the end. But this is something that the Office of Study Abroad has available, is willing to help you with, and it's not a hard thing to do. So pre and post, you can just do it online, and there you go, you got your data. Another thing that I do and this is an example of how assessment and instruction can be integrated. One of the things I do is I have my students do something called an hour by myself assignment. And if your students are like my students, they like to stay together all the time in big groups. And so this is a big thing where I say, okay, for 1 hour, 3 times during our study abroad, you go out and you spend an hour outside of your comfort zone doing something where that's sort of culturally unfamiliar to you. We're in a safe place, so this is a safe activity. Don't get worried. But one of the things they have to do is they have to come back after that, and they have to make a video log. It's very easy to make a video log. You just have a flip cam and the internet. That's all you need. And they sort of record their experience. And I have it pretty structured as to what I want them to talk about. And so they make a record of their experience, both what happened and sort of their cognitive and emotional responses to that experience. And also I have them do a short survey. And you can do all of this very easily. This is online, and this is they can just use a computer camera to do this. My point here is not that I want you to do something like this. My point is that this is primarily instruction. Okay, this is their way of experiencing something. The purpose of the video log is to help them to reflect and to put into words their experience, as are these surveys. So these are all instruments for helping them think about their experience. Well, it also happens that after they do this, I have a lot of data that I can work with. So when I look at this global competency, when I look at these video logs, their experiences in these culturally unfamiliar situations, when I look at these other smaller surveys, I have quite a bit of data that I could use to demonstrate the efficacy of my program or the value, and also to do a little bit of research on the development of students' global competency. And I've been able to share some of these things at conferences. Okay. You should know that there's a lot of support out there, and let me point to a few things. I've already mentioned that the Office of Study Abroad, and Elizabeth in particular, can help you with these surveys of global competency and on the development of global competency. There's also something called the Faculty Learning Community, and Inga Steglitz is sort of the director of that. And that's a group of people who get together to talk about issues like this. And you need to be connected. You don't want to feel like, God, I'm the only one out there doing this sort of thing. And then, little gatherings like this or other study abroad program leaders in your department or in your unit. Okay, so in summary, you try to make an effort to assess the effects of your program, that we've already talked about the reasons for that. Just for the sake of efficiency, integrate the assessment into your assignments. You shouldn't feel like an add-on. Consider doing research on your own because your unit no doubt wants you to do research. And you don't ever want to feel like you are sacrificing something to do the study abroad. And you want it to sort of all fit together, have some integrity if you can. And become a member of a community. Find a community of people who are doing similar things. Thank you.